Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be checking out Task Force VII Issue 5 by Alex Packnadil and Pete Woods. The Amazo Velocity takes to the streets of Central City as the Flash is chased across the world by the Amazo, their chase ending in the Flash Museum, as Velocity details how despite copying the Speed Force powers of every other speedster, he didn't get all of the powers, and while he can run fast, he has to rely on his own armor's heat shield to protect him from the Speed Force and the immense pressure and heat that it builds, and in the byproduct of that is that he leaves a superheated trail of fire behind him which just devastates everything in its wake. Velocity chases Barry since he's the final Flash he hasn't collected yet and manages to catch him but not get his powers. One interesting thing that the other Amazos haven't been shown to do is to capture their target's memories when they take their powers, and with Velocity it's something Alex Packnadil focuses on thanks to having the memories of the other speedsters. Velocity now knows that the Flash is Barry Allen. Learning this makes Velocity begin to wonder why Barry does what he does, and this has been an interesting thing about the Amazos as they've all been trying to figure out their hero that they've been sent after and why they do what they do. And Velocity seems to be the only one of the Amazos who actually wants to be a hero. Him and Jadestone really kind of want that, but he seems to be the one who actually actively wants to be a hero as he asks civilians to retreat and get out of the way of their fight and wants to actively protect Central City. Barry meanwhile manages to escape to the armory of the Flash Museum to get something that could help hurt Velocity, finding an extra dimensional tentacle that should help him get into the Speed Force. But Velocity's brute strength destroys it. Barry doesn't give up though, and it's something that Velocity is very intrigued with. Why would he keep running when all hope is gone? And the villain chases Barry in the Speed Force to find out. This is where the book gets really interesting with its premise, as Barry attacks Velocity in the Speed Force and leaves him trapped in it, and for Velocity to get out, he must tap into the memories of the other speedsters that include Barry so he can try and get some hints at what he needs to do to get out. And this ends up being kind of like a best moments for Barry and the family and friends he has around him, beginning with Barry teaching a young Wally how to use his powers properly and phase through things without blowing them up. Now the story here is pretty obvious. Velocity is going to learn from Barry's memories and maybe even start questioning who he is and what his mission and programming is, but it's still very good, and I really like when these type of stories happen, and it builds on Flash's continuity very well, using key moments over Flash's history to sort of inform Velocity on what this hero is and who Flash really is. Next, Velocity sees Barry during his year 1 phase where he has to dig a bullet out of his chest, and to do so he needs to learn how to phase through things himself. Velocity sees Barry do this for Iris, and be able to see her again makes him realize that to leave the Speed Force memory prison he's in, he needs a reason to leave, and obviously Barry's reason is Iris, to run back to her, and he decides that instead of it being Iris, he's going to make Barry his reason, believing that he must stop him at all costs and become the Flash Central City deserves. This is such a cool way to take the villain, and right now the 5 issues of the series have all done something really interesting with each of the Amazos, but this is definitely the most fleshed out next to Jadestone and what Jadestone was doing with Alan Scott. It's just so interesting to see these Amazos thinking for themselves and wanting to do good and not just be giant, punching bags for the heroes. It also makes you question, like, what would these Amazos be like if they actually were proper heroes, like they wanted to help the heroes and not battle against them? Would they make good heroes? Would they be a little bit too, robotic in their saving? Very interesting and stuff I'd love to see explored a little bit more. Artist Pete Woods, who's been doing all of the covers for this entire 7-issue series, tags in on this issue, and Pete has been one of my favorite artists since I first saw his work back in Superman Up, Up and Away in 2006. His style is just so colorful and clean and detailed, and I love the way he draws Barry running through the Speed Force. There's hints at like his body elongating when he enters the Speed Force. It's really cool. It's a great use of like static imagery to make it look like it's moving, and the way he draws Velocity as well. The Velocity design was by Dan Morrow, and he takes it up a notch by giving him like cool flame trails near the start of the issue because he's burning up because he's running so fast. And I like how he's able to change change his shape depending on who he's tapping into in the speedster's powers. Like when he taps into Jai's power in this issue, his arms get really big and muscly so he can bash through walls and stuff because Jai has super strength. Really cool things like that I think Pete does really well throughout this entire issue. Barry meanwhile travels to Central City and freezes time ever so briefly so he can have a moment with Iris, who upon learning that he's being hunted demands Barry get back out there and beat the villain down. We've had moments like this throughout all of the Flash runs, and even the TV show did it a few times where, you know, time slows and he gets like a moment with a loved one and gets to tell them how much he loves them. And of course he tells Iris that he's gonna run backwards and forwards and all the way through time to find her. And it's always so good. I always really love this moment in a Flash story. It's just so cool. And it's over in like literally like a second because time comes back and Barry's no longer there with Iris, and Iris realizes, oh, this time is probably going to be a little bit different thanks to Velocity, as Velocity continues to chase him in a bid to learn more about the hero and what it means to be a hero. While Barry's race is over, the book isn't, as Steve Trevor continues to go deeper into Waller's operation on Gamora, and last issue he found them making a gateway of some type, and we do learn this issue that it was a multiversal bridge. And this is where the book drops one hell of a big twist, as Steve watches the gateway open and Waller meet with someone from the other side who is going to help them deal with the leftover heroes. Steve soon finds that person is Donna Troy. But it's not the Donna he knows, it's the Earth 3 Superwoman Donna Troy, who along with the Earth 3 crime syndicate has arrived to help deal with Waller's problems. This was such a huge twist that I had no idea was coming. We haven't seen these characters since War for Earth 3 a couple of years back, and honestly didn't think we would be seeing these characters again since they were pretty much walled off on Earth 3, but goddamn I'm happy because their stories were so damn good, and it also felt like a lot of their stories were far from over, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how the writers of this series use them, as well as if Mark Waid ends up touching on them in the main series as well. There's lots of really cool ways you can take with these characters, and I'm all there for it. Issue 5 of Task Force 7 knocked it out of the park with its character development of Velocity, taking the speedster villain in an amazing direction, building a unique relationship between him and the Flash, coupled with some fantastic visuals from Pete Woods and the absolutely awesome final page twist regarding Steve Trevor's story. I think this is probably my favorite issue of the Task Force 7 series so far. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10.